Hi everybody. Today I'm doing a video on not so much as a rolling tray, but I'm going to make a smoking tray. A smoking tray that can actually open and close. So now you can hide your business instead of having to expose out for everybody to see. I took all the screws and things off and I put them on the tray here so that I can put them back. This box came from Micheals. So I got the box from Micheals. So I take it all apart. So what I'm going to do first is I'm just going to add a little paint inside around the edges. I don't need to paint the whole thing. Just basically go around the edges and paint the edges of it. Didn't need to paint everything. So I'm just going to go around here, around these edges, because, you know, I just don't like the idea of people having their stuff exposed to the children. I know this is a new generation. I just don't like it. So I like the rolling trays. They're very nice. They're still popular. People still buy. But I think they're like this something new that they can actually close up, you know, shut it up, lift the whole box up, and put it up for, you know, for later when they want it. They can go back and get it again. But just to have everything sitting out exposed, like, okay, it's okay. I don't like it. So, I'm not sure how it's going to turn out. I didn't do it first before I did it. But, I'm going to do it anyway. And I'm going to paint these two in the insides, and then I'll be back. Alright, so I'm finished. I'm pretty much finished painting what needs to be painted. And basically all I'm painting was just, sometimes it's hard to get it in these corners. So this is all basically I needed to do. I painted all the way around all the edges. It don't have to be nice and all that, but as long as it's painted, because the picture gonna go in the middle. I'm let it sit there and dry. This one's dry already. So basically that's all I need is to get started with this. I hope y'all like this project. And like I said, I haven't done it before. It was only in my head. So in my head it's gonna come out on this, in this box. So that part is done. I found some pictures that I like. So I found a few pictures because he's a Steelers fan. So I got this one. I got Chucky off of Google, and then I got some of these that I'm gonna put around the edge of it. But so I'm gonna get started on the inside of it first. It looks like it's drying pretty good. I'm going to be still using resin for this project, for this box, and then I'm going to be putting everything back together. I'll be using resin for it. The thing is, let me try to set it up so y'all can see. Oh, that's too high. Alright, so I'll be using resin inside the boxes once I have everything set in place where I want to put it. So before we will put glue, Mod Podge in the bottom of the trays first before we do it. Me myself, I'm going to laminate, because I got a new laminating machine, so I like to play with it. So I'm going to laminate this picture first before I put it in my tray and add my resin, because that way I will eliminate the steps of having to use so much Mod Podge with the 3 coats and stuff. My laminating machine is ready. I'm going to put this in there, and I'll be right back. So I have it in my laminating machine. I ordered it from Amazon. I'm going to get my daughter to put the link on there. This is the A5 by 11. I do have laminated sheets 11 by 17 for bigger projects. I like the way it turned out, and I think it'll be different, because once we laminate it, put it inside and then add resin on the outside and resin around the edges, it eliminate that time that it takes to add so much of that Mod Podge and everything. So we don't want to do that. So now I'm going to take some measurements of the inside of my box. And it's a little less than 8. So I'm going to trim it with my trimming box, my cutter. Just cut it down, and then I'm going to work my way from there to figure out the size to get it done. Because we want this to fit exactly in here. So we get rid of all this white, get all this cut up. Once I get all the cut up, and I'm using laminate, you see how nice it laminated? Once I get it cut up, I'm going to put it in there, and then I'm going to lay it down with glue. So I have my picture cut out. It's all laminated. I'm going to add glue to it though, and I'm going to stick it inside here. This is going to be my base, like where the resin going to go, and they would use to put their business on top of it. So I'm going to trim it a little bit more because it's still a little too big, because we want some good, nice, good, clean fit. All right, so that's what the inside of the tray is going to look. I did it that's sideways, so it's got to go this way. So this is a smaller hook, so that's the front of it. So it has to be trimmed off a little bit more to fit in there. So I don't know exact measurements until I get it right myself. Like I said, this is my first time doing it. It was an idea in my head. So we will call this a rolling box instead of a rolling tray. All right, still buckling a little bit, and we don't want the buckling. So let's just cut a teeny bit more. Just a little bit. All right, so the front is where the 2 little holes at, so when I put the thing back on, I'll know where to put it. My picture is bending a little bit. This gonna go down the bottom in here. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna add the Mod Podge, but I'm also gonna add some E6000 as well, just to give it a little more support, because the Mod Podge might not hold it down. So I'm going to add, ooh, damn. What the hell? What the hell? I'm going to add some Mod Podge down here. Coat it so I can put this on here. Spread that in there to get it done. And it's going to need some extra, probably some extra support because of the paper's bending. So the Mod Podge is going to hold us down, but I don't have to do the coating on top of it, 2 or 3 coats on it like we do the rolling trays. This is a rolling box. All right, that's down. Because my paper got a little bent in it, I'm just going to add some of this B7000 in the corners to make sure it stays down properly without any problems. Just add some to make sure my paper stick, because we're still going to add the resin on top of it later. So this still going to take the same 24 hours. Make sure you know where your holes at. These are 2 holes, and then the back has 4. That's for the back. So make sure your picture is lined up. Whereas though everything needs to line up. So so the steel is going to go in there this way. You don't have to worry about getting glue on the sides of it because that's going to dry clear anyway. And I guess we can find something to stick in here and keep that down while it's drying. I got paint on my picture. Hey, no paint on the picture. Can't be making a mess. Alright. So stick this in here, stick this in here. Give that chance to dry. And while that dry, we can work on the top of it, on the top part of it, and on the sides. So we're gonna let that dry. I'm gonna wash my hand. All right, while that's drying, this is the top piece. The top piece is gonna be chucky. Just make sure you line it up. So I'm gonna do some trimming and make sure the white and everything is off. Oh, I can just, let me see. Turn it upside down. Let's see where I want to put it. Like that. So I'm going to trim it because I need to make sure it's in the right spot. So I'm just going to take the white out from off the bottom of it. Trim that little bit of white off the bottom. I'm not worried about taking the rest of it off. Make sure I got my right side, and I want to get my Mod Podge, and I will be gluing this picture down with the Mod Podge because I'm not going to laminate that one. I'm only going to use Mod Podge on it. So I'm only going to use Mod Podge on that one. And when you stick paper to wood, it's gonna bond for a long time. I don't think it's oh, that's clumpy. Time for me to order some new glue. Oh, that's a clumpy mess. So I'm gonna cover the top with some Mod Podge. Well, I don't know if anybody already did this video. I haven't searched to see if anybody else did it. It's just I bought it and I wanted to do something different for somebody. Because I don't want it showing. So I wanted to do something different. So I figured I'd create a box. So I forgot to put on airplane mode. Somebody sent me a message. So it blinked out. So I'm just going to add the Mod Podge on the same way we do everything else that we need required about Mod Podge. Just put that on there like that because you want a nice stick for the picture. But don't leave it clumpy. Make sure it's smooth and it don't have them little chunks of glue in it. So I'm going to apply my picture now where I want to put it. And you see it sticks really fast. Really fast it sticks. So just smooth it. Smooth it down. Make sure everything in place. I don't want this white to be showing on the side over here. So I gotta shift it a teeny bit because the white is showing on the side. I don't want that. Alright. So that should be better. Glue down nicely. And then I'll be adding my resin and stuff to it later. I pulled it up, so if some of your pieces start coming up, just add some more glue to it. And it'll be alright. As long as it sticks. That's the thing, when you peel it up, it don't stick properly no more once you peel it up. I'm making something on video. Alright, so we gotta make it smooth. It's not smooth as it should be because I peeled it up. So the picture's not all that smooth like it's supposed to. We'll find my just smooth it out, make sure it's not clumpy. Turn it over. Let's cut some of these. Turn it upside down, make it easier to cut some of these pieces off. And it gets you closer. It gets you close and gets you a nice clean cut. That's what you want. A nice clean cut by trimming this paper off all the way around. See how looking nice so far? I think my ideal might be okay, hopefully. So all my pieces is trimmed. My edges is rounded like it's supposed to be. It look like my picture needs some smoothing out. But don't rip it. You don't want to rip it. You just want to smooth it a little bit. But you don't want to rip the picture up. That's what it looked like. It still got some edges on here that I didn't like. So I'll figure that out later when I'm done. Or either I can take it off and do it over. But you can't really get it off once you put it on. So that is what it is. I'll figure it out. So that's the front of the box. Then I got these little strips that I cut out that I'm going to put all around the boxes. So I cut one strip out so far, and that's gonna go down here on the bottom. And once I put it down at the bottom, I try to get it close enough to this. So all this gonna be glued down. So I'm gonna glue all this down, glue all my edges down, and I'll be back. I'm going to overlap the edges so that the pieces look like they all made together as one. And I'll put the next piece on top. Give it some time to dry. Then I'll go and trim all that off at the bottom. Sorry about the talking. I'm sure y'all know my husband is Jamaican. And most Jamaican men are very loud. Even when they're trying to be quiet, they're loud. So that's the first part. It's starting to look nice already. I'm going to add all these rest pieces on here. Turn it this way. And I'm going to do some trimming. all them extra little pieces off. So it can be a nice clean edge. But crafting is about patience, y'all. You'll get the results you want if you're patient. Gotta be patient. All right. So let me get all these on, and then we'll start putting it together. And then I'm gonna get my resin together. All right, so for the most part, I'm almost finished. I gotta add some more pieces to the bottom. I done paint underneath here, under the lid. So that's pretty much where the lid is. So that part is painted. The lid is painted. I'm gonna go across here with the sandpaper and, you know, rough it up a little bit, add my resin to it. And then this is the inside of it. And it's a laminated sheet, so the resin is gonna go right on side, and it's gonna seal it in with that. So this is the top of it. Here's the sides. It's going, once I put my hinges back on, it's gonna open up like that. I can put this picture inside. I can do whatever I want. I've seen some people doing some things with some boxes. I don't know what they was doing with them, but they was making something in a box. So my box is gonna be the rolling tray box. So it's gonna be nice. So I'm gonna go add some more trimming, and then I'll be back. So I decided not to put any more paper down the bottom. I'm gonna just go ahead and paint all my edges. I think that'll be better. Less time it take. You don't have to have the stillers on the top and stillers on the bottom too. So I'm just gonna go around here, paint all these edges to make it look nice. It almost look nice by itself as a picture frame. And that, when I finish, it's got some paint on the bottom, so you gotta clean it up. Make sure you clean it up and get the paint off the bottom. Paint everywhere. All right, so that's all done. Everything should be, it's gonna dry pretty fast. Clean up my spaces. Make sure nothing I left out. This stuff is messy. Yeah, so here's what it's gonna look like. I'll put it together for you. It's gonna be a smoker's box. And it's gonna look like that. And then you got the stillers all the way around, and now it has the black at the bottom. When it dry completely, I add the hinges. Then I'll add the resin. And then he can open it up. And you can stash what he wants with no problems. But I'm gonna distress it a little bit. Just distress the edges so it won't look so. Yeah, some rough it up some around the edges. Give it a rusted look. It don't have to be perfect. All right, it's almost time for me to, it's almost dry. It's got some glue build up in here I don't like. Probably put too much in it. So I'm going to go ahead. See, down in the little corners, I don't like the corners. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just go ahead, add a little paint in the corner on top of the picture. Because it don't really matter. It don't really matter because it's going to look like it's basically when you're doing that now, you're creating a border around the picture. That's all. Gonna let it dry. And if you put too much in it, you can wipe it out. Because of the plastic. If it wipe out, you can get a clean brush and clean it up inside. Then make it look neat. That's all. Just clean up any extra drips. You won't see much of that with the resin. Then I'm gonna take this brush and go around the edges a little bit. Get rid of that white look. That's all. Just clean it up, make it look so when I add my resin to this top, the resin at the bottom. Once I do that, I'm gonna let it dry, and then I'm gonna put it together. See? I believe they're really gonna like it. So I'll be back when it's all done, when it's all dry, so y'all can see the ending results of what it means. That's extra paper and stuff. Make sure, because if you're gonna blend it in, these little scraggly pieces here, it's gonna the paper might lift up one day. You want to, because I'm gonna add resin around, just a thin layer around the edging of it too, because I want the whole thing to be resin. The only part that probably won't have no resin is up the top of it, the top of the inside. Alright, y'all, so I hope you like my video. I will show you my complete when I put everything together. And that's pretty much put everything together and add the resin. Do I see some spots inside? So I'm gonna put it together. Alright, so I already mixed my resin, and I'm covering the top of it with the resin. A nice little coat up here. That way, if they want to smoke, roll their stuff up or put their butts in there, it'll be in there. No, I'm not sick. I was eating potato chips and it's in my throat. So now this will have a nice coat on top of Chucky. It should seal up nicely because there's no bubbles. I mix it pretty good. So this gonna seal up nice, and this gonna become a surface tray. You can do stuff on top of it as well as inside. And because I use the laminated sheet, I don't have to worry about putting the three layers of Mod Podge on it first. I ain't had to do that because it already has a sealant on it already. That look cool. I'm gonna go around the edges as well. I need a base, something stiff I can put under there. Maybe I'll use this. Okay, well, that's not big enough because I wanted to sit up. Okay, I know what to use. I'll use some of my video games. Put it up there. I'm a big Tomb Raider fan. All right, see how it's looking? It's looking nice already, even though it's not even done. But you gotta stand up to look for it to make sure you don't have no empty spaces. So this is resin. It's 2-part resin cask. That's what they call it. So I'm gonna put a thin layer on the sides of it so everything can be sealed up. Just thin, not enough to really make it drip. I don't want it to drip. Just thin. Just a nice little thinness to make it shine. So I guess we can call this a stash box. How about that? Instead of a rolling tray, because it's no longer a rolling tray. It's a stash box. Because you want to stash your stash in your box. So that everybody won't know your business. All out in the opening. Which I don't like. I'm glad I'm not a smoker, because if I was a smoker, nobody probably would never know. I would be a secret smoker. Wouldn't tell nobody. Alright, so the top look like it's done. All my pieces in there. Just have to set it flat. Let it settle. And then by morning time, I'm going to turn my TV on and go in my room. Because right now I don't smell it. But in 30 minutes, it's going to smell very strong. So I'll turn the fan on it. I'm about to turn my air purifier. When I use resin, I use air purifier. So this part is done. I'm going to set it somewhere and let it dry till morning. Y'all see how nice it is? I think this is going to be nice. So it's going to be called the stash box. Almost like a rolling tray, but it's not a rolling tray. It's a stash box. And I'll put all the pieces back together tomorrow. So there's some in here. I put some in here. It done settled already. And then I put it all around the edges. Around there. Let me see. Guess I can put me a nice little thin coat on the top to make everything look shiny. Yeah. Then I'm going to do a thin coat all the way around. Try not to make it too thick of a coat because I don't want it thick. Because I got to put the screws back in. Just a nice thin coat. Nice thin coat. See? Nice thin coat on this wood. It don't need a whole lot. Hold that all of it. I'm not going to put nothing under the back of it. Alright, so I got it all the way around. A nice thin coat. And I'm going to set it. And then it's going to take till tomorrow evening. I don't really have to wait all the way till tomorrow evening to do this video. Because by morning time, it should be sealed enough where I can at least touch it. So I'm going to put this up. And we'll see about this tomorrow. All right, y'all. I got stash. These are going to call stash boxes. No more rolling trays for me. I would still make them if people want them. But I think they would like this better. Their own personal stash box. When they dry from the resin, I can put all the pieces together on the wood. And it's going to open and close. That's the bottom part. This is the top part. Nothing underneath the top part of the lid. All right, everybody. I want to show y'all that the box that I made, the stash, I'm going to call it a stash box, is now finished. I put all my clips back on it. There's the side. My resin is now dry. They can use the top to roll their stuff up on top of it, or whatever they're going to do with it. They can use the top as well because it has resin on it. It's nice and shiny. And then when you open it with the pieces, it actually has a team inside. This part is blank. You can add the picture of the person. You can put the picture of the person in here. This is their team. This is the box that goes on the picture on the outside. So I'm going to call it a stash box so that we can start hiding the personal business that's inside. All done.